Stories have many jobs in our lives. They're the things that we use to put our children to bed at night. Well, unless your name is Ruby Coral and you're my child, she only wants to hear wheels on the bus, but I digress. Stories are also used to convince people to do things, to change, to be different. Stories are the things we engross ourselves in with our noses in books and our butts in seats in movie theaters. They're for entertainment. But your life is also a story, and it's complete with other stories made up into the grander story of your life. One of those stories is your money story, and it is one of the most powerful stories that you tell. It's been developed over your entire lifespan, starting from childhood through adolescence and into adulthood. But my question to you is that story serving you, or is that story harming you? If it's harming you, wouldn't it be good to, I don't know, write a new story? I think it would. And because of that, I have my guest here on this episode, Tasha Chen. Tasha Chen is the #1 manifestation and wealth mentor for women entrepreneurs and executives. She is the co-founder of the Science of Getting Rich Academy. She is a wealth and success coach. She also has her vision alignment method, and it's helped 17,000 plus people find ease and joy, enjoy quality time with their families, manifest tremendous levels of wealth, and have the freedom to do what they love. She has manifested within her community $163 million. I'm going to say that again, just in case you didn't hear the number of millions. That is a $163 million. And she's created 14 on her way to 15 millionaires, multimillionaires, and counting. She's an author, a speaker, a mindset mastery expert, and she's the one who in today's episode is going to unveil to us wonderful ways to change our story around money so that we can change our overall story of our lives. If you are ready to be wealthy, to feel, more importantly, wealthy, to manifest all of those things that are swirling around in your vortex into this plane of existence so you can see them, touch them, lick them, enjoy them in this physical plane, then my friend, this episode is for you. All right, let's go.
Welcome to the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with Alea Harris. If you're looking for actionable ways to overcome communication and differentiation challenges by sharing radically authentic stories, you are in the right place. Listen in and learn how to stand in the power of your unique narrative to transform your personal life, business, and workplace culture. And now, your host, award-winning international speaker, strategic storytelling consultant, and Japanese whiskey lover, Ruby Coral's mom, Alea Harris.
Tasha, thank you so much for joining us here on the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. Happy to be here. Ready to be vulnerable.
Oh, I love it. We have a willing participant, everybody. Before we get into some of these hard-hitting questions, can you please, Tasha, tell us who you are and what you do in just a couple of sentences?
I am Tasha Chen, and for the last 12 years, I've had the honor of fixing myself with my money and my wealth and all things finances, and then going on to show thousands of women all over the world, creating 14, going on 15 millionaires. Super excited to share that journey with your listeners.
I love that. And just in case anybody didn't catch that, Tasha has not just been like, oh yeah, I had this one friend this one time and then she reached $1 million and now I'm a success. She said she's created 14 other millionaires outside of herself. There are 14 other human beings running around with money in their pockets because of the things that Tasha says. So if you weren't interested in listening before, I highly recommend that you start tuning in now. Stop multitasking. I can see you. Tasha, if you had to say the number one thing that keeps people from reveling in their trueness of their money story, which is abundance and staying within lack, what would that be?
I would say that's a two-part question. It's a two-part answer because it's somewhere in between money traumas and their money story, really. Over the last 12 years, one of the things that I love about the work that I do is I figured myself out first. And so I looked at myself one day and I realized there was a pattern here. I had some serious traumas around money. And I sat down and I listed them, and there were 16 different money traumas that I could name at the time that I had experienced that I saw stopping me. And then as I looked at my clients, I was like, holy macaroons, them too. And so these money traumas, what they do is they cause you to live from a money story that does not serve you, that blocks you. And it's kind of like if I asked you what your name is, like without thinking about it, you're like, my name's Aaliyah, right? And so that's what happens with your money story. You don't even know it, think it, you're not conscious. It is literally just playing out like you take your next breath. That's what's going on in the background. You're like, this is me. This is the story I live from around money. That's that. And that's the biggest thing I would say, 12 years in, that has women blocked from receiving and experiencing the financial wealth that is the right of all of us.
Mm-hmm. You said you had 16 money traumas that affected your life. And I'm assuming you go into all 16 in your book. Is that correct?
Actually, that's the book that's yet to be written.
Oh,
Yeah, coming soon. I do teach a lot about the money traumas,
mm-hmm.
and I really do a lot of deeper diving because I feel if I just tell you the list of 16, you're going to read them and go, yeah, I have all of these. And then what? Like I leave you to your own devices. So I really try to keep it in the context of a class that I'm teaching or one of my programs that I'm doing. I can tell you 95% of the women that I serve have this number one money trauma. And it's
Which
this.
is?
Have you ever been in an experience where you concluded it was love or money?
Probably. I would think that I have.
Most women, it falls into one of two categories. Either watching their parents fight over money, just like there's not enough, the awareness that there's not enough, and the parents are angry at each other. And right. So it's usually seeing it as a child. Or if you're a divorced woman, 9 times out of 10, this man you once loved and thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with, you end up fighting over money. And it's like, wow, gosh, I guess you can't have both. And what happens is a money trauma is really something that leaves you feeling unsafe, unloved, abandoned. And you don't naturally think, I'm mad at the person. You're like, money caused this. And so you have a trauma, and people, when you speak about trauma, it's so natural to think trauma from stress or trauma from abuse. Not a lot of people recognize that they've experienced trauma from money, right? And so, yeah, it's pretty deep work.
So was that your number one money trauma that you had to overcome?
My number one money trauma was that, and from my childhood, I have a money wound that says, you're not enough. You are not enough as you are. And I spent my entire life working out that trauma by being a perfectionist, by being overworking, by being a people pleaser, by just giving my soul, prostituting myself and my services, honest to God, no other way to say it, than like that for money. because this wound just could not be healed. And the trauma of, I will never be whole enough to say, I don't have to beg, plead, and sacrifice myself for money. I just deserve it, you know? Yeah.
So
I'd say
how
that.
did you heal from that trauma? Or would you say, even, I guess a better question is to say that you are healed or not? I don't want to leave
Yeah.
with this.
What I will say is I've done a lot of healing around that trauma. And I don't want anyone to think, oh, yeah, like I took that magic pill and bye bye for life. I'm going to tell you a story after doing a lot of work on healing my money trauma where I found myself at an event. And I had done this 3-day event. I get to the end, we do events. I get to the end and I go, okay, go to the back of the room, sign up for the program, right? $5,000 program. And it's end of 3 days, 300 people in the room. This woman comes darting direct to me as I'm beelining to leave the event. And she says, Tasha, I'm going to work with you one-on-one. What would that look like? And I'm like, because that was not the offer I made. And so I was like, it'd be $25,000. And she goes, okay. And she picks up her checkbook and starts writing a check. And I go, no. Just go to the back of the room, do the $5,000 thing. And,
Tasha,
and
no, you did not say that.
if you've ever wondered what it looks like to subconsciously respond from a trauma, that's it right there. You turn down money, you devalue yourself, you say, no 25,000, give me 5 instead. So
Oh my God, I hurt. My whole body hurts hearing that story.
I go off by myself and I go, Tasha, what the heck just happened? Right. And you've done so much work on this. What was that? And that's when I had the awareness. I have a trauma from growing up on the island of Jamaica, which we have this deep inherent thing that says you have to work hard for money. And I know I say from Jamaica, but truthfully, I think that is, international standard. Like you have to work hard for money. So when that woman came across the room with the $25,000 so easily, my trauma was like, this isn't safe. It's bad. Say no. Say no. And so I recognized in that moment, like after all the work that I had done, that's how quickly it can resurface if you're not having it in check. And so the difference between me and someone who's not done that work, I was immediately aware. I knew what to do to heal it. And you best believe that woman has gone on. She's in so many programs now. She has gone on, probably spent $50,000 with me over time. And by the way, she's one of my millionaires.
I love it. I love the success story at the end. That's amazing. I'm still a little hurt and pained by the fact that you turned down that $25,000 check, but what a great lesson that gave you and that gave everybody else, right? You mentioned something in your story about staying in check, and obviously you were a little bit out of check in that exact moment, but you were able to quickly rein yourself in. What are some of the things that we need to do once we have rewritten our money story, or a better way of saying this, I guess, is we're on the journey of rewriting our money story to stay on that new path that we've discovered for ourselves?
Number one, you have to be vigilant, right? It's like, I deem it unacceptable that event occurred, but it did. I'm human and it did. What I do know is because I'm so watchful, that is a 1 in 100 time for me, after doing all of this work. So you just have to, I know my wound. I know, oh, it's too easy. That's my thing. Watch out for your quick response. So I know the things. I know, oh, you have to work hard for it. Oh, you're not enough. I know the things to look out for. And so I stay vigilant around those things. This morning, someone messaged me and said, hey, I have a few questions. She's been a past client. I have a few questions. Can we do a catch up call or can I text you? And I saw myself go to respond and I just reined myself and I go, there it is. Your people pleasing trauma. I was like, actually, would you like me to send you my link for us to book a session?
Absolutely.
Right. It's just being able to stay vigilant around it is number one. Number two, once you've done the work to heal it, what happens is you've actually created a brand new identity. You become a whole new person. And it's kind of like when someone, if you're religious who says, I'm born again, you are born again and you live by the tenets of I'm a new person and I have to now live this version of me. And the easiest way to do that is embodiment. So I embody, I'm no longer wounded, traumatized with money, Tasha. I'm now healed, goddess, aligned in my wealth and my deservingness around wealth, Tasha, and I act accordingly.
I really love that. And I love the new story. So when I tell stories have elements, right? Like you have a character and you have the thing that they're trying to do, and that, they have trials and tribulations. When I'm trying to create this new person, write this new story, align with this higher version of myself, what are the elements of that story that I need to put into place so that I'm actually telling a story and not just like on that same path and kind of having like a little offshoot? I'm truly telling a new story.
I think in order to tell the new story powerfully, you have to be really honest with yourself about who you have been. And part of the healing the money story process is I guide clients through looking at the stories that you've inherited from your mother, your father, your religion, the things that have really made you who you are in the story, the way you identify in this movie. I say, it's your movie. It's your money story movie. Are you playing the Shira or the victim? And most people prior to doing the work are in a victim role with their money story. And so the first thing is, well, what's a character I want to be now? Boss babe, goddess, Shiro. Who do I want to be? This is like a whole new script. And so I would say decide, first of all, this role, this character that you're going to embody, and then really sit with, okay, and so as her, what is going to be different? How is she going to show up? How is she going to dress? What's she going to say? What are the actions that she's going to take? And I know, like you said, we can write a story till the cows come home. I can write a 20-page book about a new money story. But if I close that book and put that pen down and that would have been an interesting, fun afternoon, nice activity. Great. And maybe some of it will show up in my life, maybe a little bit. The real work is not even in writing the money story. It's then going to live it and consciously choosing moment by moment. I just said I'm boss babe. I can't play victim anymore. Like, I don't even know who that is. So yeah. Did that answer your question?
That did, and I'd love to take it kind of to another a deeper place from there. When we're on our journey, often there are villains. Often there are our own creation, our own limiting beliefs, our own things that hold us back, or often there are situations. When you're working with, let's keep your 14 millionaires in mind, the people who have gone through the hero's journey successfully, but I'm sure it was not a smooth process. For them or for you, what are some of those villains that throw you off of your story, off of your path? They're the money traumas, but it's not, okay, say I have my money trauma and it's unworthiness, like you mentioned. But I already know that that's not going to throw me off my path. That's the thing that actually got me started. It was understanding my money trauma and wanting to heal it that got me started on this journey. But now I'm on this journey. And so what are the pitfalls that I'm watching out for? And what have maybe even been some of your pitfalls that you have experienced? And how have you overcome them?
You ready for this one? Don't know if
I
your
don't know.
audience.
I wasn't ready for that last one, Tasha. I'm still hurting for the $25,000 check. So let me gird my loins with whatever you got to say now.
I did a little audio for my clients over the last 2 days, and it literally is interesting because it's the answer to your question. But the first one that has floored me, having done this work for 15 years on myself, is the way my hormones totally send me off track. Like, I literally start going into, you're not good enough, it's not working, like, who's gonna pay that? When are you gonna read your like? And I've trained myself to go, where's the calendar here? What's going on? And literally, it's like, oh, that's what's going on. But I'm aware, but I can tell you, sometimes I don't catch it till I'm 3 days in, you know? So that's been a major surprise for me. The role of my hormones in my state of mind. Another thing is, I was sharing with my clients recently how I just moved into a new house, and for the first time in my life, I have a gas stove. Ooh, I have arrived. The only other person in my life who's ever had a gas stove is my mom, and she has like a super duper fancy, expensive one. So when I go home, I have to use hers. I light the lighter, I get it. And so the fact that I moved into a new house with a gas stove is like I'm a quadrillionaire right now. So I am so proud of myself. I go to use my gas stove, and every time I use it, I use a lighter. And then one day I forgot the lighter, whatever. I was just on autopilot, had coffee in my hand, turning it on because I'm used to an electric stove where you just turn it on. Turn it on, and wouldn't you believe it? It lit. It's a freaking self-lighting stove. And so what I realized, the lesson that I realized was, oh my gosh, I'm so on autopilot sometimes, even with all the work that I've done. And I think that's another thing that will catch you and has caught me is I'll be literally in the middle of shaking out the lotion for 15 minutes before I realize you're wealthier than this. What are you doing?
I love that. You're wealthier than this. Go get the other lotion.
Right? But it's the autopilot. And I know that's lotion, but then you go to business and I'm like, I'm about to do a launch and I'm going to price the thing at autopilot price, you know? So it's just watching yourself and going, even in the autopiloting price, it's not recognizing that that price was of Tasha who was traumatized versus the Tasha that is healed, you know? So recognizing those little nuances of the difference between who you were and who you have now chosen to become. And then the last one I'll say is that gets me is story. Did laundry, did a color load, took it out to put it in the dryer, and there was a white t-shirt. And the white t-shirt was now pink. I was like, wait a second, there isn't even anything in here that's pink. How did that happen? And I realized the white t-shirt will pick up, it is the weakest, lightest color, right? In the color circle in the laundry. And so it's going to pick up whatever is the most dominant. And so I realized that is such a powerful metaphor for you've done all this work, you've done your healing, and then here you are recognizing, oh my gosh, I've been spending time with my girlfriends, love them, but they're not where I'm at. And holy moly, here I come back. Or my family, or my husband. Right? And it's like, these people are not where I am in regards to the work I've done on this story and healing myself. And so an extended period of time can impact, they're going to be the most dominant thought. And especially because I used to think like them, right? So they're going to, if I'm not careful, I will come back and be like, perfect example. I take the summers off. I go to Jamaica. I have to pretend to work. Why? Because my parents think it's irresponsible that you should be this age and taking a vacation off all summer. You should be working. This is your prime working years. And so I literally find myself starting to feel irresponsible while I'm there because that's how they think, you know? And so what does that, it infers and it gets me right back into you should be working hard for money, which is my wound, right? So those are the things that you just really have to be vigilant in watching for. Man, who or what is going to take you down? You know, the strongest thing around you, watch for your hormones. I'm telling you, nobody is thinking about that one, but yeah, it is. And when are you on autopilot? Where are you on autopilot? Because you have lived from this money story a lot longer than you have lived from the new one. And so you just got to watch out for being in that, like, oh yeah, this is the way I always do it mode.
That is such a great response to that question. And I loved everything that you said, but I especially loved, poor people pricing. Like my poor self is pricing this for my wealthy self, and my wealthy self does not like it. And I also loved that you said, I'm wealthier than that. I think that there's a lot of times where I need to go and look at the things that I'm doing and say, Alea, you're wealthier than that. Stop it. Stop it. Absolutely. Absolutely. We've talked a lot about money stories and past traumas and wounding, and I've thought that this is an incredibly rich conversation. And I have one final question for you. It's still about story, but maybe slightly different, maybe not. What is the story that you want people to tell about you after you're gone?
Wow. People will say, I remember Tasha Chen. I remember the way she made me feel that it was possible for me. And I remember the way that I stepped into the highest version of myself because of what she taught me to do. That would be a life well lived.
I think so. I definitely think so. And I definitely think, based on what I've heard and seen of you, that you are currently writing that legacy for yourself, which is a beautiful thing to see. Tasha, why should people work with you?
Ooh, I really, for me, I wake up every morning and I say this one thing: God, use me. And I believe that God is using me to answer the prayer of the woman who is right now saying, I cannot figure it out. My daughter would say, help me make it make sense. It's not making sense. I'm smart, I'm driven, I'm educated, I know all the right things to do, and I'm just not getting to that financial, goal that I desire, and I cannot figure it out. And I can tell you, it's not your education. It's not where you live. It's not the business that you're in. Those are all things outside of you. And there's a reason why it says the kingdom is within, because that is the truth. The thing that is stopping you from experiencing the wealth that you deserve is within. And if you're looking for someone to help you go there, I would love to do that. I would love to show you. Like, I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. I'm at 15, about 14 and a half, 15. And so why should somebody work with me? Do you want to be one of my 100 millionaire women? That's it.
I love that. I love that. Tasha, if people do want to be one of your 100 millionaire women, how can they start to work with you? Where can they find you? How should they contact you?
I think the thing that would be like I want to get started on this right now is a free gratitude journal that I have. It's a gratitude for money journal. Easy. TashaChen.com/gratitude.
Perfect.
Download your free journal. It's a 30-day prompt of different things that you can just be grateful to money for. Great healing practice.
I love that. I love that. Well, Tasha, this has been wonderful. I'm excited to download my journal, to dive more into your book. I'm so glad that we got to meet and talk about rewriting stories around money. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I don't know about you, but I am sitting here definitely contemplating what things are on poor people autopilot here in my business. And I will be saying all day, in fact, and probably from now on, I am wealthier than that. I love that and so many more of the things that Tasha said. It was amazing and wonderful and beautiful to have her here. But more importantly, your job is to now go do something about the information that she just said. Wealth doesn't just happen. You don't have to work hard for it. Hear me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to go work hard for it, but you have to take control of your mindset, your feelings, your emotions, and your relationship to your money and your money story. Just listening to this podcast is not enough. You need to step out. Go download her gratitude journal. Go buy Tasha's book. All of those things will get you closer and closer and closer to the wealth that you desire. The baby steps, my friend, oof, that's where the magic happens. Baby steps done consistently will make you into one of Tasha's millionaires, especially if you work directly with her. I know I'm excited about how I have rewritten my money story, and money is just flowing in. We're doing much better over here, y'all. Doing much better over here, and life is feeling good. And I want this and more for you and everyone with under the sound of my voice. So I'm wishing you, as always, lots of love, light, and abundance here on the Flourishing Entrepreneur podcast. My name is Alea Harris, and I am just hoping and loving you into a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with Alea Harris. Vibing with what you hear? Leave a 5-star review to spread the love, and be sure to click subscribe. We wish you love, light, and abundance. See you next time.